Well, according to Eric Prince, who, like I said, is the founder of Blackwater, and who really knows this stuff. I mean, he's had thousands of troops deployed throughout the Middle East and involved in thousands of conflicts. He says that Iran is actually behind all this. Iran is the one that once, uh, you had the elections in Gaza and Hamas became the ruling party. He said that Iran came in and funded them,
For
put all the
sure.
money behind them
It's
and
not a
so forth.
mystery.
And,
It's a known
and
thing.
now we're in a situation where Iran is launching missiles against Israel. And now we're on the brink of a war between Israel and Iran. Do you believe that Iran was behind all this?
Yeah, for sure. It's like a known thing. It's not a mystery. It's something that's been known for years. I mean, anyone I think who pays any attention to politics or whatever knows this. I don't know a lot about politics. This is the one area where, I pay a little bit of attention. Fucking Iran is behind it all. Hezbollah, Hamas. I mean, those are the, the pawns that Iran uses, and I'm hoping that we fucking make a change now because they stepped over the boundary now. They're gonna find out.
Well, you said that after the October 7th attack, you're considering wearing a beard and yarmulke again.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a stronger connection to being Jewish again, and I think that's the what I meant probably when I said that is like, I went through this whole journey, like, we talked about it as a kid. And I got into Judaism. I got very into it. It became the core of my identity. The center of everything was around God and Judaism and being Jewish and music, And then I phased out of it. I felt like there were certain things I didn't like. There were certain things holding me back. I moved beyond it. And, at that time, I started to just reconnect with who am I as a human, as a father, as a husband, as a musician. And Judaism and being a Jew is a part of that, but not the center, not the core of it. And after October 7th, immediately I had a show that morning in Vegas, or that afternoon. I was Reggae Rise Up. And my son is in Israel, so it was Shabbos, and he keeps Shabbos. He wasn't calling me, so I was a little nervous what was going on. And I'm like backstage at this reggae festival. I feel very out of place. And I right away, my nature is to try to find another Jew. So another guy's a singer. I'm trying to find him to do something with him. Maybe we do a song together or make a post. He ignores me from the bat. All of a sudden, for the first time ever, not responding to my text messages. Then I'm on stage. I see someone with an Israeli flag. I pull him up on stage. And all of a sudden, this feeling came back to me, like from being at the Rotterdam 10 years ago at that festival, this feeling of enormous Jewish pride and this feeling that that all of a sudden now this is, again, whether I want it to be or not, this time, this is just the core of who I am. It's not about religion or anything else. And I step into this role now, moving forward, of making it a point that people know that I'm Jewish and that I love Israel, and I stand behind them.
Well, during your recent Hold the Fire tour, a bunch of shows got canceled last minute.
Yeah, 3.
3 shows. And is this because of the whole pro-Palestine
Yeah,
kind of feeling that's been happening?
for sure. So yeah, they know oftentimes when I'm coming to town, protests and whatnot, and sometimes those protests have been, had an effect to the point where like members of the staff don't come to work, or the showrunner, doesn't want to hire the security or whatever it is, and there's different things. But we played like 48 shows, I think, on that tour. So 3 of them got canceled, and one of them, when it got canceled, we went down the street. I found another place, and we reset all our shit up and played the show down the street, So, it happens. It's happening now. So it is what it is.
Well, right. The U.S. Palestine Community Network and several other groups are actually calling for demonstrations at your shows.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's getting worse in a way?
I don't think so. I don't know. I did a tour February, March. That's where it really popped off like that. And then I played shows since and haven't really had any issues. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, and you said that you're really feeling out of place in America ever since October 7th.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
are you considering moving to Israel?
Yeah, I've always considered moving to Israel. I always have, you know. I mean, I'm not ready to just pack up and leave yet. I'm American. I mean, this is where I not only come from, but this is where I've made a living for the last 20 years, you know, not just in New York or California, but towns like Omaha, Nebraska, and freaking, you know, Louisville, Kentucky, or Kansas City. I mean, these are the venues, and this is the country that I've spent hours and hours and hours playing shows, traveling on a tour bus, and I feel that it's my place. But definitely, you can feel the tension, and it's real. And you know, I don't feel like it's something that we need to escape or run away from. I think it's something to confront head on.
Well, you said that young people are attracted to the darkness of Hamas. You said it's very sexy to them. These terrorists are looked at as freedom fighters, and whatever happens to the oppressor, they have it coming to them. There's something very tantalizing about the darkness of it. But the Jewish people are light.
Yeah, and people are very quick to just jump to his side because for very shallow reasons, I think. And I think that there's something attractive, you know, to people without having any real understanding or idea about what the conflict is, who Jews are, what Israel is to the Jews, and the Jews to Israel, the history of us. So people are very quick to jump to the opposing side because it's fucking cool, you know, to them. And I think that's a big part of it.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting that
Don't,
Jews essentially get blamed for everything, uh, down to, Diddy's whole situation. Like, oh, hold on, let me look this up. Like, for example, with all these charges against Diddy, there's this viral set of tweets that basically said that Diddy came up under Clive Davis, and Clive was the one that taught him all his evil ways and so forth. So, I remember, so basically Jews are being blamed for what Diddy is doing with all the alleged rapes and everything. Um,
yeah, we
you
have to
know, I,
be the mastermind somehow behind it's a classic anti-Semitic trope. It's that the Jews are the mastermind behind all the bad shit that happens, you know, that they acknowledge that we're smarter than most people, you know, but, you know, they think that we're the ones behind everyone's fucking evil, you know.
I mean, look, I'm not a big fan of the whole chosen people thing. You mentioned that you embrace it. Me, I don't, because I feel that it creates a level of conflict
Well, like I said,
between
wait,
human beings.
I don't want to say I embrace it. I'm saying I was trying to be real with you to say that a shift happened. It's something that I've never embraced. It's something I've always felt very, very opposed to and anti. I'm saying, and this place, emotionally, where I am right now, I feel it's time to lean in. You know what I'm saying? And be proud. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, we're chosen. Any religion that claims that they are the ones and others aren't is completely missing the boat. And so just I don't, I want to just correct you on that.
Yeah. I mean, when I've heard that term, it's always bothered me because it creates a level of envy by people who feel they aren't chosen. And this is where you get the whole, well, Jewish people coming from Eastern Europe aren't really Jews. Uh, they really stole that religion and adopted it. But for example, when I did my DNA test recently, a big part of my DNA is Bedouin from the Middle East. So I'm like, okay, well, so much for that concept. My people actually do come from the Middle East originally. But the whole thing of, certain people feeling that they're chosen and feeling that they're better than everyone else, and then other people feeling they're not chosen and feeling a level of envy or anger, and then feeling that maybe they're really the chosen one of these other people are faking it, and so
Sure.
forth. It's a clusterfuck on a lot of different levels, and I personally don't like it. I don't feel like I'm chosen. I was born Jewish. I'm not very religious. I don't really believe in God. And I hate how things play out sometimes when it gets to these types of conversations and the way it's affected me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have no disagreement with everything you just said. I'm full agreement with you, with all that stuff. At the same time, you have to fucking acknowledge we are a certain special motherfucking group of people, religious or not religious. And I'm not saying that we're moralistically, ideal or something, but the impact that we've had on the world is beyond anything else. that the world has ever seen.
No, listen.
How do
I
you
feel
like
the
that Mark
impact,
Twain? You ever listen
is
to
exceptional, and I
Mark
think
Twain
that
the Mark Twain poem? You ever hear that one?
which one?
He has a poem called "The Jew." I think it's called "The Jew."
Huh? How does it go?
You gotta pull it up. You gotta read it, man. You
Let's
gotta
see.
read it. It's
Mark
incredible.
Twain, the Jew. Hold on one
You read it right.
second.
You can read it on the show. It's good. It's like a page. It's not long.
If statistics are right, the Jews constitute about 1/4 of 1% of the human race. It suggests a nebulous puff of stardust lost in the blaze of the Milky Way. Properly, the Jew ought hardly to be heard of, but he is heard of. He has always been heard of. He is as prominent on the planet as any other people, and his importance is extravagantly out of proportion to the smallness of his bulk. That's part of it.
Yeah, the whole thing is incredible, though. You gotta.
Yeah. I mean, look, throughout history, there's been so many horrific things that have happened to Jewish people. Me personally, my family had to move out of Russia because they realized that being in that position, I would be extremely limited in my opportunities as I got older because my parents' lives were limited. My dad couldn't go to certain universities. He couldn't get certain jobs. His first wife left him because she got so much backlash over marrying a Jew when she wasn't a Jew herself. And I think that type of oppression and that type of violence over the years forces people to function in a certain type of way and to take, every advantage they possibly could because they know so many of those advantages are taken away from them. So when they do have an opportunity to do well, they overdo it. And, I don't think there's anything DNA-wise that separates us from other humans, but I think as a group of people, knowing the history, we realize that we have to work harder to a certain degree because there is so many people against us. And, that's just life. At the end of the day, I do feel like all people are equal, and I don't think that anyone should be treated any differently, any better or worse, regardless of their bloodline, their race, their religion, their sexuality, anything else like that.
Yeah, and I don't know why we're having that conversation because that's an obvious thing,
Yeah,
that is an obvious thing.
I feel
agree
you,
with
but
you.
it's not obvious to everybody because
All
when you
people
go
should be treated equal.
online
All people
and
are
see
equal.
this, like I said, Jews are blamed for every possible thing that's wrong in the world. I mean, imagine a tiny group of people being able to create that much chaos throughout the world.
Right.
When it's just not humanly possible. But
right, but that's what people believe.
I've always identified as Jewish because I was born into that. Before hip hop, before my career, before my my extended family and so forth, I was Jewish. So it would always be wrong of me to try to hide that or try to downplay it and so forth, like a lot of people do. I am who I am, but like I said, I don't always agree with the policies of Israeli politics. And the thing is, and I think a lot of people don't understand this, is that you could be anti-Netanyahu and not be anti-Semitic.
Sure.
And I think that's lost on a lot of people.
Sure.
That's like saying you could dislike Trump and still love America.
Yeah.
Trump does not encompass every person in America. There's a lot of people who love Trump. There's also a lot of people who hate Trump.
Yeah.
There's people who love Netanyahu, people who hate him. I don't agree with Netanyahu, but I'm still pro-Jewish. And I think a lot of people need to accept that Netanyahu and the people making decisions in this war is not the entirety of all Jewish people.
Yep. And also, I mean, I don't know anyone who has a solution who thinks that they could do a better job, or that it hasn't, that they haven't tried. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you think that this just all of a sudden, I don't know. I mean, this shit goes deep, and